huckfinn22. Who should subscribe? Yeah, that's you.
Hey, it's Huck, and welcome to Ask Huck 4, where, as you know, at the start of each month, I give ample evidence of just what a loser I am by attempting to answer your questions based upon a lifetime of pathetic experiences. Now, before I get started today, I do want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you who have taken the time to view or comment or even message me about any of the songs I've posted here on YouTube. And so this is just a reminder for those of you who may have missed my announcement last week that each of the 6 original songs posted on my channel are now available on Google Music. And you can go there by clicking on this link. And there's also a link down in the down bar. I hope you'll check that out. But let's get right to it. Our first question comes today from a user called Evil Voyager, who asks, "Is there any Mrs. Huck Finn?" Well, Evil Voyager, sadly, the answer to your question is no. There is no Mrs. Huck Finn. I figure over the course of my adult life, there must have been 2, maybe even 3 what I would term serious interests in my life. And I gotta say, it is kind of baffling. I mean, as I recall, even as a Boy Scout, I used to be pretty handy tying a knot. Anyway, the fact is, it isn't much fun being my age without a companion, or someone to make me a sandwich on demand. And of course, that also means I have no kids I can proudly endure as they hone their wit making fun of me to all their friends, or who can steal my car keys without asking, or call me for bail money after getting arrested for attempting to use a fake ID at the local strip club. And worst of all, it means I have no one in which to hand down my prized collections of 70s bell-bottoms and my Andy Williams music collection, all on 8-track tape. And of course my complete collections of every Lost in Space and Man from U.N.C.L.E. episode ever made. It seems that women have always sort of looked past me, you know, like I'm so much furniture in the room. And after all these years, well, it's even affected my dreams. I mean, I used to fantasize that women would chase me everywhere. Last time I had a dream like that, I had to snatch her purse just to get her attention. On to question number 2, which comes from user Jeb31415, who asks, "If you have a well-defined political view, what sort of political system are you in favor of?" Now, he seems to give some examples, such as Canada's, which he categorizes as a welfare state, or a Nordic-style social democracy, or something called anarcho-syndicalism, which, to my understanding, is sort of like a worker-led and owned state. Well, Jeb, I suspect my political views are just as complex and impassioned as yours are. But frankly, I've come to realize that there are pros and cons of any governmental system. But I would like to think that we could get to a point someday where we do a much better job of protecting those who are most vulnerable in our society, while still preserving, you know, those incentives which have produced the American spirit and helped produce one of the world's greatest, you know, economic engines. It's truly a tightrope, and one I don't think we've ever really walked without seeing an awful lot of good folks slip up and fall off. The reality is, Jeb, that an awful lot of folks fear what they're not familiar with. And so, you know, whether you're talking about socialism or anarcho-syndicalism, well, as Ferris Bueller puts it, isms are not a good thing. A person should not believe in an ism. He should believe in himself. Now, I honestly believe we could nudge ourselves a lot closer to where we'd want to be by just tweaking a few things within the system of government we already have. You know, like strengthening some of the rules and regulations on how candidates can fund themselves, or limit the things they can lie about, which would be a good start. Now, by my estimate, about a third of the U.S. House and Senate are already comprised of individuals who would like to see Medicare and Social Security protected, even expanded, who would like to see defense spending reduced, see the wealthiest among us pay a fairer share toward the common good, and most of all, a much better effort made toward protecting and preserving American jobs and the wages and benefits workers earn in this country. Now those are goals I think are reachable within our lifetime. And one of the things we need to do to get there a whole lot quicker is to reduce the number of people who don't vote in this country. About half of the folks in this country of voting age don't vote for one reason or another. And Republicans who are in power all across the country have taken steps just this last year or two to further reduce the number and kinds of people who can vote by implementing new voter ID laws and absurd voter registration rules and regulations that virtually make it impossible to register new voters. So those are a few areas you might consider working on if you're really serious about the kind of dramatic change I think you're calling for. Undead Ricky asks, if you're married, what do you do when your wife starts asking you about something you didn't really do and she won't believe you? Well, Ricky, I would probably start by deleting all those text messages, photos, and call logs from that cell phone you didn't really use in the course of that affair you weren't really engaged in. And it helps to wipe away any lipstick smears that weren't really on your collar. And bring along some aftershave that you can douse yourself with after you get home from where you didn't really go. It helps remove any lingering perfume smell from that woman you didn't really sleep with. But just in case I'm way off base here and my advice isn't helping, I suggest you might want to take a look at her cell phone, her collar, and any other telltale signs that maybe she's doing something behind your back. Suspicion without cause is usually a sign of a cover-up. So her accusations may very well be her attempt to deflect attention away from her behavior. And Ricky, one last thing. Trust is really one of the most essential foundations for a lasting relationship. So I really do hope you quickly are able to resolve this and move on from here. Anyway, I'm Huck. Thanks a lot for watching. And remember, if you get a chance, go check out my songs on Google Music. I'd really appreciate it. I'll see you next week.
huckfinn 22. Who should subscribe? Yeah, that's you.